Now, all these people out here saying we're running a scam is a liar. All these people out here saying we're piling up money and scheming to make money is lying.
For years, people have debated one question that refuses to disappear. Is Pastor Bob Joyce simply a faithful preacher, or is there a bigger story behind the rumors? Now, at 74, new claims suggest he can no longer remain silent. Some believe he is finally ready to speak, while others think it is just another twist in a mystery that never ends. But what did Pastor Bob Joyce really reveal? And could his words change what people believe? Join us as we uncover the details. Pastor Bob Joyce finally reveals it all. Pastor Bob Joyce spent most of his life away from the spotlight. Long before people across the internet began talking about him, he was simply known as a Christian pastor who loved God, loved music, and loved serving people. Singing had always been part of his life. As a young boy, he sang in church, just like many children growing up in Christian families. Those early years helped him develop a love for worship that stayed with him throughout his life. When he was around 9 to 11 years old, he learned how to play the guitar. From that time on, he continued singing and playing music as part of his daily life and his Christian faith. As he grew older, Bob Joyce devoted himself fully to serving God. He married his wife, Willina, in 1975, and together they built a family that was centered on faith. They shared the same desire to help others know Jesus Christ. In 1981, Bob Joyce was officially ordained as a minister. That moment marked the beginning of a lifetime of preaching the Bible, leading worship, and helping people grow in their faith. He never presented himself as a celebrity. Instead, he saw himself as a servant whose duty was to teach God's Word. Years later, Bob and Willina started meeting with a very small group of believers. At first, there were only 7 or 8 people gathering together. The meetings were simple. There was no large crowd, no fancy building, and no desire to become famous. The focus was only on worship, prayer, and studying the Bible. As time passed, more people began attending. The small gathering slowly grew into what became Household of Faith Church in Benton, Arkansas. The church continued to grow because many people appreciated the simple teaching of the Bible and the welcoming atmosphere. Even as the church became larger, Bob Joyce remained focused on preaching instead of building a public image. Everything changed when videos of his sermons and gospel songs began spreading online. Millions of people watched him preach and sing. While many people simply enjoyed his messages, others noticed something that quickly became one of the internet's biggest talking points. They believed Bob Joyce looked and sounded like the late Elvis Presley. Some pointed to his deep voice. Others noticed his smile, his facial features, the way he stood, and even the way he moved while singing. Before long, social media was filled with videos placing old clips of Elvis beside recent videos of Bob Joyce. Many viewers became convinced that the similarities could not be ignored. The theory grew bigger with every passing year. Supporters claimed that Elvis Presley had never really died in 1977. Instead, they believed he had secretly started a new life under the name Bob Joyce and had become a Christian pastor. Every new sermon, every gospel song, and every public appearance by Joyce became another chance for believers in the theory to search for what they believed was fresh evidence. Online discussions became larger. Videos received millions of views. Comment sections filled with debates as people argued over every small detail. Some believed they had discovered the greatest secret in entertainment history. Others completely rejected the claims. Through all of this attention, Bob Joyce remained calm. He never accepted the claims that he was Elvis Presley. Instead, he repeatedly stated that he was Robert Wayne Joyce and had always been Robert Wayne Joyce. He explained that he understood why people made the comparison because he also knew there were similarities in appearance and voice. However, he made it clear that those similarities did not change who he was. Rather than spending his time arguing with people online, he chose to continue doing what he had always done. He kept preaching, leading worship, and serving his church. He even said that if Elvis Presley were alive today, he would gladly call him a brother in Christ. That statement made it clear that Bob Joyce viewed Elvis as a completely separate person. Although many continued believing the conspiracy, he refused to make it the focus of his ministry. Instead, he remained committed to preaching the message of Jesus Christ. His church consistently emphasized that its mission was to glorify God, not any individual. Despite worldwide speculation, Bob Joyce continued living the same humble life of faith, refusing to let rumors define his identity. As the rumors spread around the world, how did Pastor Bob Joyce and his ministry respond? Let's delve deeper. The challenges, the ministry, and the legacy he continues to build. As the rumors continued to spread across the internet, Pastor Bob Joyce and his ministry found themselves facing challenges they had never expected. What had started as simple curiosity soon became worldwide attention. Every new sermon he preached and every song he sang attracted thousands of people. Some came because they wanted to hear the Word of God. Others came only because they wanted to see if they believed he was really Elvis Presley. No matter why people arrived, the church remained focused on its original purpose. The leaders continued to say that the ministry existed to preach Jesus Christ and not to support rumors or conspiracy theories. They explained many times that Pastor Bob Joyce had never claimed to be anyone except Robert Wayne Joyce. They also said the church had never encouraged the stories spreading online. According to the ministry, those stories were created by people outside the church and continued to grow because of social media. Even though millions of people talked about the theory, the church refused to make it part of its message. Instead, every service continued to focus on the Bible, worship, prayer, and helping people strengthen their faith. As more attention came from around the world, another problem also appeared. Many fake social media accounts started using Pastor Bob Joyce's name and picture. Some people pretended to speak for him. Others created false pages that looked real. Some even asked people to send money while pretending they were connected to the ministry. These actions caused confusion for many supporters. Because of this, the church repeatedly warned people to be careful. It reminded everyone that Pastor Bob Joyce did not send private messages asking for money. It also explained that he did not authorize anyone to collect donations through unofficial pages or accounts. The ministry encouraged people to trust only its official communication channels whenever they wanted correct information. Church leaders also warned people about edited videos and misleading posts. They said some videos were changed to create false stories or to make it appear as if Pastor Joyce had said things that he never actually said. They urged viewers not to believe everything they saw online without checking the facts first. The ministry believed that much of the confusion came from people sharing information without confirming whether it was true. Another subject that attracted public attention was the church's finances. Some people questioned how the ministry received its support. In response, the church explained that it operated through voluntary giving, just like many other Christian churches. Church leaders explained that donations were always voluntary and should come from a willing heart, never from pressure or fear. Prayer, counseling, worship services, and Bible teaching remained open to everyone, regardless of whether they gave. According to the ministry, donations helped cover church operations, support outreach programs, ministry work, worship services, and provide assistance to individuals and families facing difficult circumstances. The church explained that its goal had never been to become wealthy. Instead, it wanted to continue spreading the message of Jesus Christ while also helping those in need whenever possible. Although the conspiracy theory continued to grow, many researchers and fact-checkers pointed to information that challenged the claims. Public records showed that Elvis Presley and Bob Joyce were born many years apart. Their family histories, life experiences, and personal records were also completely different. Reports that claimed Bob Joyce had attended Lisa Marie Presley's funeral were later found to be based on mistaken identity after it was confirmed that another musician had actually attended the service. Even with these facts available, many supporters of the theory continued to believe their own conclusions. Pastor Bob Joyce, however, did not spend his time trying to convince everyone. He simply continued with his ministry and left people to make their own decisions. After more than 40 years of preaching, teaching, and leading worship, Pastor Bob Joyce's ministry says his life should be remembered for something much greater than internet rumors. Church leaders describe him as a humble pastor who has spent decades serving his congregation, encouraging believers, and pointing people toward Jesus Christ. They believe the attention surrounding the Elvis theory has often distracted people from the work he has faithfully carried out for many years. Still, the ministry continues moving forward with the same mission it started with decades ago. Services continue every week. Worship continues. Bible teaching continues. The church says its greatest desire is not to answer every rumor, but to share the message of salvation through Jesus Christ with anyone willing to listen. According to those closest to him, that is the work they hope people will remember long after the rumors have faded away. After years of silence, why did Pastor Bob Joyce finally decide to speak about Elvis Presley? And did his words answer the questions or make the mystery even deeper? Let's find out. The mystery deepens as Bob Joyce finally speaks about Elvis Presley. For many years, people who believe the theory have pointed to what they see as strong physical similarities between Pastor Bob Joyce and Elvis Presley. They have spent countless hours watching videos, studying photographs, and comparing public appearances of both men. They believe the similarities go far beyond simple coincidence. Supporters often point to the shape of Bob Joyce's face, his jawline, his forehead, the distance between his eyes, and his overall facial structure. Some have even used computer age progression images to compare what Elvis might have looked like as an older man with recent pictures of Pastor Joyce. They believe the results are surprisingly close. Others focus on his smile, the way he stands, the way he moves his hands while singing, and the way he naturally holds a microphone. They believe these actions do not look forced or copied. Instead, they say the movements appear natural, as though they were developed over many years. To those who support the theory, all these small details come together to form a picture they find difficult to ignore. Even though each detail may seem ordinary on its own, they believe the collection of similarities creates a mystery that continues to attract attention from people around the world. One of the biggest reasons the story has remained popular is Pastor Bob Joyce's response over the years. Instead of constantly answering questions or trying to defend himself, he chose to remain mostly silent. For almost 40 years, he continued doing what he had always done. Every week, he preached the Bible, led worship, and cared for his church without making the rumors the center of his ministry. He never tried to use the speculation to gain more attention. He also avoided making mysterious comments that could encourage people to believe the stories. Whenever people asked about the rumors, he usually gave a polite response and returned his attention to preaching the gospel. This long period of silence made many people even more curious. Some believed that if there was nothing unusual, he would simply answer every question in detail. Others believed his silence showed wisdom because he refused to allow internet rumors to distract him from his work. As time passed, the mystery continued to grow because people kept searching for answers that he never seemed interested in providing. Recently, however, public attention grew even stronger after Pastor Bob Joyce began speaking about Elvis Presley more openly than before. His comments quickly caught the attention of both supporters and critics. Many noticed he spoke about Elvis in a calm, thoughtful manner. While his remarks neither confirmed nor dismissed the rumors, they left room for different interpretations. The comments quickly reignited debates across social media. Some viewed them as a significant shift after years of silence, while others believed he was simply sharing personal thoughts, bringing renewed attention to a decades-old story. Many people also believe the mystery is about more than simply asking whether Pastor Bob Joyce is Elvis Presley. For them, the story is deeply emotional. Elvis Presley was one of the most famous singers in history, and millions of people loved him. His death left many fans heartbroken. Some people never fully accepted that he was gone. They continued hoping that somehow he had survived and chosen a quiet life away from fame. Because of those feelings, many supporters are always searching for signs that Elvis may still be alive. The theory surrounding Pastor Bob Joyce gives those people something to hold on to. It keeps alive the hope that one of music's greatest stars never truly disappeared. At the same time, many other people completely reject the theory. They believe the similarities have simple explanations. They say it is normal for two unrelated people to share similar facial features. They also believe talented singers can naturally sound alike, especially if one grew up listening to the other. They argue that body language, singing style, and stage movements can also be learned over many years without proving that two people are the same. They believe people sometimes see what they want to see, especially when strong emotions are involved. Pastor Bob Joyce has also spoken about the emotional side of fame. He has described how public attention can place a heavy burden on a person. He explained that fame can slowly hide someone's real identity behind an image that other people create. He also spoke about the loneliness that can exist even when someone is surrounded by many people. According to his comments, many famous people are admired by millions, but still feel completely alone because very few people truly know who they are. If there is still no proof that Pastor Bob Joyce is Elvis Presley, why do so many people continue to believe the theory and keep searching for new clues? Let's learn more. Why many still believe Pastor Bob Joyce is Elvis Presley. Many people who support the theory believe the strongest reason for their belief is the timing of Pastor Bob Joyce's ministry. They point out that he officially began his ministry in 1981, only 4 years after Elvis Presley's reported death in 1977. To them, this gap seems too small to ignore. They believe it could have given enough time for someone to leave a famous life behind and begin again under a new identity. They imagine that a person who had spent years living under constant pressure could have chosen a simple and peaceful life instead. In their view, becoming a pastor would have allowed him to continue singing, helping people, and living without the endless attention that came with worldwide fame. Supporters say this idea explains why Pastor Bob has dedicated his life to faith, worship, and serving others. They believe it would have been the kind of life someone tired of fame might have wanted. Another reason many believers continue to support the theory is Pastor Bob's calm and caring personality. They describe him as warm, kind, humble, and easy to approach. They also point to the way he greets people, speaks with his church members, and carries himself during worship. To them, these qualities remind them of stories told about Elvis Presley away from the stage. They believe both men shared a natural kindness and a desire to connect with people on a personal level. While critics argue that many people have similar personalities, believers feel the combination of these traits makes the comparison even stronger. Pastor Bob's voice also remains one of the biggest reasons why the discussion refuses to disappear. Supporters say his deep Southern voice sounds very close to Elvis, especially when he sings gospel music. They believe the rich tone, emotional delivery, and familiar style bring back memories of the famous singer. Some listeners even say they feel as if they are hearing Elvis all over again whenever Pastor Bob performs. His love for gospel music adds even more fuel to the debate. Elvis was well known for his love of gospel songs throughout his career, and Pastor Bob has also made gospel music the center of his ministry. Believers see this shared passion as more than a simple coincidence. They believe both men found peace, hope, and comfort through the same kind of music. Another detail often mentioned is Pastor Bob's smile. Supporters say his smile looks very similar to Elvis's famous smile. They point to the shape of his mouth and even compare his dental appearance with older photos of Elvis. To many believers, this is another small clue that fits into a much larger picture. On the other hand, critics continue to reject the entire theory. They say the biggest problem is the documented age difference between the two men. What do you think about the resemblance between Elvis Presley and Bob Joyce? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed exploring the mysteries surrounding Pastor Bob Joyce and the Elvis rumors, please like, subscribe, and watch the next video for more fascinating stories. See you there.